I gotta say, when I take a look at the Theros Beyond Death set, White's feeling kinda hopeless. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. We are here today to talk about a brand new card from the upcoming Theros Beyond Death expansion. I do enjoy taking a look at the spoilers, feeling out the flavor of it, and also sometimes talking about a more historical perspective of the cards or the concepts where they came from. And that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do today. All right, so that's what we're going to do today. Basically, what's going on is I have selected a very interesting card from Theros, and, well, at least for me, flavor-wise, I think it's really interesting. And I wanted to talk about some of the stuff from the past. But basically, the first time I encountered these sort of style of cards, and, like, also what are the hallmarks? What sort of things are most expected? Like, I think what we're going to talk about, first of all, just to make sure we're on the same page, is enchantments that say you can't attack or block. That's the tiny little wedge that we're going to be looking at today. So we're going to start out with a card that most people are probably familiar with, and that would be Pacifism. Now, some of you may be familiar with it because of the 2020 printing, Core 2020 printing of Pacifism, but that's not what I have up here on the screen, because I am an old dinosaur of Magic, and so I have memories of much older cards from many years ago. And my Pacifism is from Mirage, all the way back in 1996. Pretty sweet. So Pacifism, I think, is an excellent baseline indicator for how these cards should function. Most of them vary from this to a degree by adding in extra clauses like activated abilities can't be activated, right? Basically, for one more mana, essentially. Usually the deal is pay one more mana and you'll be able to shut off activated abilities as well. But anyways, Pacifism is 1 white, 1 colorless. It is an enchant creature that says the enchanted creature can't attack or block. Now, I really like this Mirage one, not only because it tickles my nostalgia bone, but it makes me chuckle. In all fairness, the Core 2021 does with the Knitting Giant as well. That is kind of funny to me, but I really like the artwork of this card combined with the flavor text. The flavor text says, for the first time in his life, Grak felt a little warm and fuzzy inside. And you can see this big old, like, zombie-ish kind of creature. It's not, I can't actually tell for sure if it's supposed to be a zombie. I think it is, maybe some sort of, it's also possible it's a demon, right? Robert Bliss has a very interesting art style. It's very different and distinct to a lot of other Magic artists. So I'm not 100% what's supposed to be going on in terms of what the creature is, but either way, obviously from the face and the horns, this is some creature that would normally be evil. I love the idea of it being warm and fuzzy inside, and it's got almost like a Disney princess feel. Like, who came along and wreathed him in flowers like that? Did the animals do it? You can see some kind of mouse or, I don't know, a shrew or something that's perched up on his shoulder with its tail hugging around his arm. You've got multiple little deers all nestling up as he just stands there. It's funny, also, the fact that he's just standing there, because he's not embracing any of these animals, right? He's literally just pacified, standing there like, all right. And Pacifism falls pretty well into White's way of doing business. White has a very rule-setting sort of business when it comes to Magic the Gathering in terms of, okay, your creatures can't attack or block, or okay, you have to pay a certain amount of mana to attack with each creature. So, you're gonna have to pay 1 for every creature you want to attack with, or do damage to an attacking creature, make them sack an attacking creature. It's all sort of like, White is fine with allowing you to exist as long as you don't disobey its rules. So the Pacifism concept is like, look, you can't attack or block. I'm not going to remove you from existence the same way Black would with direct destruction or Red would with burn. I'm going to get you out of the picture in a different way. So Pacifism, I feel like, is the normal baseline for these sort of cards. Now, this Pacifism isn't actually the first time that we see an effect like this in Magic. It's funny because when I sat down to think about what cards really go along with today's spoiler card, my first thought was like, Pacifism, that's the oldest one that I used. And then my brain went, wait, wasn't there an awful one in Homelands? Like, didn't that come out first? And nobody used it because it was awful. Like, you'd see one person in a blue moon use the card, and I'm like, yeah, that's right, that's true. Sara Bestiary, actually, as far as I recall, is the earliest version of a creature can't attack or block style enchantment. Now, this one actually includes the activated abilities can't be used as well. Although kind of, I mean, it does have a variation. So it's 2 white. It costs 2 white instead of a white and a color. So it was only 2 mana, but you had to pay, during your upkeep, 2 mana or bury it. If you don't know what bury means, that's old school language in Magic the Gathering for destroy and can't be regenerated. But under current like rule wordings, after they've changed everything around, this is a sacrifice, obviously. You pay the upkeep or you have to sacrifice it. Now, target creature can't attack, block, or use any ability that includes tap in the activation cost. So this is a weird precursor to the activated abilities can't be activated, because you can activate abilities if they are abilities that don't require tapping. It specifically has to have a tap activation in terms of using the actual tap symbol. Even if it's a like tap an untapped wizard you control and the creature happens to be a wizard and you tap in that regard, that would still be allowable. But you can't use anything with a actual tap activation symbol. It's pretty funky, in all honesty. But the card was, I mean, you think about it, it's 2 mana to take out a creature, but then ties up 2 of your mana every turn. That's really weak. But, you know, in their defense, they were still feeling out how effects like this should work, right? This was a new concept at this point. You didn't really have white having these rule-defining enchantments saying you can't attack or block. It had a little bit of like playing around with some other concepts with like taxing how much you have to pay to attack and stuff like that. But overall, it did not have anything like this. And the artwork is so bizarre. Like, this is some kind of zoo where Sara keeps, like, Sara, the planeswalker, okay? This is like her private, like, prison, essentially. It's like her zoo where she keeps animals prisoner. And look at the beast she has prisoner. It's got like a 1 arm, 1 weird old flappy tentacle, and a massively long tongue. Wait, what is Sara keeping this one for? Let's maybe we should move on to the card for the spoiler now, because honestly, now that I've said that, it's time to just forget that card and quickly move on to Dreadful Apathy. That's the card we're going to talk about today. That's from Theros and is in the similar vein to those cards. This one isn't exactly the same, obviously, because they change them up as they go along. But anyways, let's get into it. 1 white, 2 colorless. It is an enchant creature. Enchanted creature can't attack or block. Pay 1 white and 2 colorless, exile enchanted creature. And just so you know, if you're newer to the game and you're wondering how that works, only the person who owns the enchantment can activate the exile the enchanted creature part. Your opponent can't. Okay, and the flavor text says, those whose lives were uninspired are doomed to the wretched tedium of Phileas in death. So overall, the idea behind this is you're just made into an uncaring being. This enchantment is interesting. The one we looked at before, one was Pacifism, where all of your aggressive urges have basically been nullified through restrictive magic, right? So at this point, all it is you just don't feel aggression. And you're just like, all right, I'm just going to chill out. I'm not going to get in fights with anybody. The bestiary was a more direct sort of, you are imprisoned directly in a physical cage, which is obviously a much different concept to Dreadful Apathy, where you're trapped in a cage of your own, complete uncaring, whatever sort of like term you want to use here. You just literally, you're apathetic. You don't care what happens to you. You don't care what happens to anybody else. And so it's like you could get up and do something if you cared. It's interesting that there's different ways to transmit the same concept of inability to act, either through pacifism, you know, where it's like, we're just going to quell those aggressive urges, versus we're going to make you into someone who doesn't care for anything. And in all honesty, I think that this Dreadful Apathy is actually far worse, honestly. And the flavor text behind it is pretty insane if you think about it, where you cast this apathy on a creature in Theros, and then at a certain point, you can exile them, and the exile them, in my opinion, is going to tie into the flavor text here, where it's like, your life was uninspired because of this apathy that was forced upon you by the magic, and now you're doomed to the wretched tedium of Phyleus and death. What that means is there's an underworld in Theros. I talked about this actually in yesterday's video too, and how there's different subsections that different people go to. There's like a hero's realm in the underworld. There's a realm for people who live uninspired lives, apparently, which is just kind of crazy. I don't know exactly how many subsections there are, but then there's also sections of the underworld where like the undead have kind of shucked off society and are moving into their own returned societies and a bunch of stuff going on. But either way, the fact that there is a tedious afterlife, imagine that. You just don't care about anything. You just can't be bothered to do anything. And then you have to spend eternity just bored. Like what's worse, being tortured or just like being bored and feeling nothing and caring about nothing ever, right? Like there's a certain level to get really happy, to get really angry, to get really sad. Those all feel very human. But when somebody doesn't feel these emotions, right? You kind of look at them askance. It makes them feel a bit alien or unnatural. Now, obviously, you know, people can end up in that condition in the real world and they need like, you know, some sort of medical attention, either pills to help balance them out or some kind of counseling to get them out. Whatever it is, it's not like, it's not the same. The same sort of like lack of emotion is transmitted in the concept of when they create like lizard creature, like I'm a lizard man and I don't have your human emotions. Like that sort of apathy almost puts you into the realm of a type of species of animal or something that doesn't have the same sort of emotional range that we do and lives just a very like logic only style existence. Although obviously when you're this apathetic, you don't even care about logic. Either way, I thought the concept of just you just cast magic on a guy to make him not care. I summon the giant demon of the pit, and the demon shows up and says, I'm the giant demon of the pit. I'm going to go and take your kids and I'm going to grind them up and I'm going to make a hockey stick out of them and then I'm going to make a hockey puck out of your skull and I'm going to play hockey with the kid stick and your skull. All right? Wait, kids stick. Let's make sure that everybody understood what I said there. I distinctly said kids stick, as in a hockey stick made out of children. I don't want there to be any confusion about what I'm talking about here. Now, back to this important story here about the demon that has a hockey stick made out of children's bones, was it? Whatever. Anyhow, this demon's all jazzed up to play skull hockey, but then you cast, boom, this magic on him. And then his summoner's like, demon, okay, man, go make the hockey stick, go mess him up. And the demon's like, I don't know, bro. I don't care, man. I don't care. What? I summoned you. Yeah, I don't care, bro. I don't care. No, you got to do no, bro. I don't care. Like, I just, who cares? What? It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. just that picture to me is amazing as a flavor concept. But whatever. Anyways, let's, I gotta say, that's a silly picture in my head. Just thinking about a demon just kind of laying there like, nah. And when you look at the artwork on Dreadful Apathy, honestly, it does a great job of just giving you that concept of this person just not caring. They're just laying there on these grand staircases, just laying there. There's like water lapping up to their feet. They literally can't be bothered to shift further up to get out of that little bit of water. They're just laying there with their leg in there and their garment draped in the water, just kind of flowing and getting soggy in a complete state of not caring whatsoever. So to me, I don't know, man. The flavor behind this card is fantastic. I thought it was really cool. So I wanted to talk about it. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts that come out of your brain and normally come out of your mouth hole, but I want you to use your fingers for me. I want you to use your fingers for me, if you know what I'm saying. Get on down there, type the comments, because I get to read them, and YouTube likes that too. Speaking of likes, click the like button, or maybe a demon that doesn't care or does care will show up and do something with your kids and hockey sticks? I don't know. My vague threat has been issued. I'm going to leave a link here to some videos from this channel and my other channel where I do goofy and fun things. We've got some new videos lined up we're going to be recording. I got sent some packages in the mail, so we're going to crack those open tonight in a live stream. Anyways, thanks everybody for coming by. Glad to have you here. Big shout out to all my patrons and channel members. And remember, together We are the sixth color of magic.